We have priorities. Oh, it's not? Oh, we're 3 minutes overdue. I've been looking at that clock. Oh, I'm sorry. It's 3:03, and I've been sitting here waiting for the clock to turn to 3 p.m.
There you go. We just did.
All right. Sorry about that. We will bring the Human Rights Commission meeting for January 14, 2019 to order. First item on the agenda is sharing the mission statement. Who would like to do that this time? Commissioner Randolph.
Okay. The mission statement.
Sorry. The mission of the Palm Springs Human Rights Commission is to promote and protect the diversity of our community and to improve human relations through education and community awareness.
Thank you. Roll call.
You have a quorum.
Excellent, and Jay is with us. Now we move on to item 4, public comments. Any person who wishes to speak on a topic within the city's jurisdiction during this portion of the agenda must file a speaker card with a staff liaison before that portion of the agenda is called. Although the Commission values your comments pursuant to the Brown Act, it generally cannot take any action on items not listed on the posted agenda. Commissioners will not enter into discussion with speakers, but during Commission comments may refer the matter to staff for report and recommendation at a future Commission meeting.
There are no cards.
We have nobody wanting to speak today. How sad for us. Approval of minutes. We've got a lot of minutes to approve to catch up on. July 9, August 13, September 10, October 8, November 19, and December 10. Yes, James?
In honor of the occasion of the minutes being up to date and reflecting a vast improvement over concerns I've expressed before, I'm very happy to make a motion to approve all, it is 6 sets of minutes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7. All 7 sets of minutes.
I second it.
6.
6, okay.
Any discussion on any of the minutes that have been presented for approval? No. We're good to go. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? All right. All minutes have been passed and approved, and our appreciation to you and Annie for getting them taken care of. They were very well done, so thank you. So when will they get posted online?
They'll be posted tomorrow.
Sweet. So then we'll have, everything we have will be there.
Exactly.
Okay, excellent. Yes. Good deal. Section 6, Commissioner, Staff, and Student Comments. We can go around the table with any comments that any of the commissioners would like to make. Commissioner Andrade, we'll start with you.
I have none at this time, thank you.
Nothing at this time.
No comment.
No comments.
Nothing.
Like I said, this is going to be a fast meeting today. Thank you. And I don't have any either.
No, sir.
Jay? Okay. Item 7, items for discussion and or vote. Item A, we've got this one right up front. You're trying to kick me out to the curb already?
You suggested it.
2019 Chair and Vice Chair selection. So first I'd like to congratulate Commissioner Sandra Sina and Chappelle for their reappointment, which I believe, it goes for a full cycle? Terry. Oh, sorry. Right. Jessica is done in June. I'm sorry. So I still want to congratulate her for her 6 months left on the commission. But Terry and Denise were both reappointed.
Thank you.
Very good. Congratulations.
Thank you. Congratulations.
So full cycle of 2 years. Yes.
Yes.
And so now we've got the chair's position, which would go through, my term expired on December 31. So we've got a new chair that can come in and go through June, the end of June.
That's correct.
Any nominations for the floor for folks who would like to take on the chair position? And then we've also got the vice chair position.
I'd like to re-nominate the current office holders.
Okay.
Well, I don't know where Robert's rule stands on this, but before I guess it's a point of order. I guess I'll call it point of order. Can we get further clarification on the remaining open positions on the commission?
There is only one.
Oh, we're down to one then now that we have the 2 reappointments?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And it's slated for, interviews are slated to occur again with City Council in January.
Okay.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
So just one position, and that's going to be a full 2-year cycle.
And then when Jill's is positioned, her term is up in June, then another person will be nominated. Okay.
Yep. So then that interview cycle will continue to happen again in hopefully May, June with Councilmember Coors and Councilmember Holstich. Any other, I guess we have a motion on the floor. Do we need a second on that motion?
I second the motion.
Okay, then I think we need to ask the people if they're willing to accept the.
There's no choice.
The nomination.
Certainly.
All right, so all in favor of continuing the term through end of June 2019 of the current chair and vice chair for the commission, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Any abstentions? All right, well, congratulations, Vice Chair. And thank you, everybody.
Congratulations.
Yeah, so I guess I don't get to move this to somebody. Master calendar, item 7B, Commissioners Andrade and Michio. Michio is not here, so Commissioner Andrade, it's on your shoulders today.
I think we reported last meeting that we had gotten together, looked at the calendar, talked about the 1 PS picnic, talked about the parade structures and how we're going to change that up a little bit. But since then, we have not met again. So that's kind of an update of an update.
Okay, and Ryan had sent a update in his absence with a few items that he's asking us to touch base on. 1 PS picnic. He's asking for the commissioners to make indication to Commissioner Andrade that you can be there to staff the space on March 23, 11 a.m. to 2 p.m. He's going to be looking for the canopy to make sure that it's there, and if anybody's got any materials that can be distributed that day, to contact Ryan and let him know, or Commissioner Andrade. So do we have any commitments today for the March 23rd setup, staff, and tear down? All day or just a portion?
All day?
I can be there in the morning,
Okay,
as long as I don't have to stand and my back isn't killing me.
okay.
I'll
Okay.
stay all day.
Beautiful. Are you able to set the canopy up, the pop-up, if you have somebody else with you?
Yes.
Okay, so that would,
Get Nikki.
and Denise, what time are you going to be able to be there?
Well, I usually end up staying the whole time, so I'm gonna.
You want to say 11 to close? Okay. So Chappelle will be there 11 to close.
Okay.
Jim, you're already there, aren't you?
Actually, I just realized when this came up, I think my being at the commission table will be my only obligation
Oh,
this year.
nice.
Nice.
Okay.
And I'm glad to do an 11 to close.
11 to close, meaning helping to pull down the canopy and collect the materials?
Yeah, again,
Okay.
also if there's another body or
Yeah,
two.
so Denise is with you.
Yeah.
We got, Nikki is on opening.
Did you say you're doing opening, Terry?
I'm going to do all day. I think Ryan is as well.
Okay, and Nikki is helping with the
I
setup.
figured where would be good. I mean,
Come
do
in
we
the
have more
morning.
people in the morning or in the afternoon? 1, 2. I'll do closing.
11 to 2, I would think.
I'll do 11 to 2. That's fine.
Okay, excellent. So you got a good crew there. So thank you for participating. Community Service Awards.
Well, let me also, we do have the canopy, so I will have it available for someone to pick up. And then also, we do have some promotional materials, some pens, notepads.
Just skip.
So I'll get those to whomever you direct me to.
Okay.
I
No, not yet. So
Okay.
Terry, why don't you get
Yes,
with Dale,
okay,
get what he
perfect.
has, and then you can let Ryan know that
Okay.
you guys have got that covered?
Okay.
I've also still got, I was almost going to put them in the trash, but I still have a pile of senior resource day brochures. They're, of course, out of date, but if we wanted them for an illustration.
Pertinent, yeah.
Okay, right?
Well, they're useful as an illustration of what we have done.
Yeah, so why don't you bring them with you? So Terry, you know that he's going to be bringing some of those senior
Right,
brochures.
okay, perfect. And I don't know if this is the appropriate time to talk about that, but we did discuss, Ryan and myself, that maybe the table talks might be appropriate during the day as something for us to do. And I think I mentioned it to you the last meeting, if that's something that we want to think about, talk about later, but I'd just like to put it out there that we thought it would be a good use of the day.
Yeah, sounds like a great plan. Does
okay.
everybody else think that's a good plan? All right, let's go with it.
Okay.
We decided we
Anything else on the calendar?
decided we weren't going to continue.
We're good on the calendar? We go on to subcommittees, community outreach and marketing. Morgan Randolph.
Shall I read the information that was from Ryan's email?
Each one's on a different section, so you could talk about Milk Now, and
I'll talk about the film festival.
she's going to do festival, and there's another section for the awards. So you want to cover the milk and?
Sure, and I have something to say about Pride as well. So the Harvey Milk Breakfast, the sponsorship, we've received the sponsorship packet, and in order to honor our past involvement and save money, I suggest that we explore the $650 table sponsor option. This still will get us a table of 10 and an opportunity to attend and bring residents like we discussed previously.
Should we discuss that now?
Any discussion on that item?
Well-
Just so we do have a motion.
No, he's
No.
sharing Ryan's comments. So it's comments coming from
Don't shoot the
committee.
messenger.
Yeah.
Coming from committee.
Well, from my perspective, and I think everyone on the commission knows that we spent $1,000 of our $2,000 total budget on the Harvey Milk Diversity Breakfast last year. And so we're looking for ways to still participate yet not expend that much money.
My only comment would be is, at least for purposes of visibility of the commission, and Ron, of course, you'll be more intimately familiar with this than I, given your involvement, but I think if we start at 650, but we kind of tag ourselves to go 1,000, so we can get additional view or more views of HRC involved with the event, should we have some financial fortune this spring that would allow that flexibility.
It won't be before the breakfast.
It won't be before the breakfast, okay. Then I
So
Hold it.
Ron, you're very involved in the diversity breakfast, and I'm sure you know the sponsorship packages. So if we scale back, I mean, in your opinion, what would we be missing out on?
So the difference from being a $1,000 sponsor and just a table sponsor, there's a lot of clutter at $650. There's going to be 30 or 40 other people there, and it's a typeset name listing, so the recognition is just that. At the $1,000 level, you at least get bumped up to a group where there may be a dozen other people and your logo's included. So at the $1,000 level, you get a little more exposure. And we have, for a couple of years, we've tried to incorporate the commission in the program itself. So somebody has had a podium presence, in the program, and that's been because the commission has come in at $1,000 level.
If there is concern about the current year's budget, we've not had any major expenditures, and we actually carried over some private contributions from last year. So, I mean, I think this year we would be fine, and as you said, Nikki, we will have a better idea of what we would be coming into for the following year once council approves the budget in June.
Right.
So, I don't know if other expenses you may anticipate this year, but I do think we would be fine at the $1,000 sponsorship with the additional coverage and recognition that we would receive.
I agree. Does anyone disagree that?
Well,
For-
I am,
Go ahead.
I'm sorry, yeah. I am concerned if we wind up at the same level we had last year at 2,000. I'm hoping we do better, and I think we can do better. But if we wind up with a $2,000 budget, then I am concerned about 50% of it going to simply one event. I still have that concern at that point with that. If we have some indicators, that's where I was kind of going with this. If we have some indicators this spring that we will have additional funds, even if we're not 100% sure of them, but if there's a good indication, then I would advocate for the 1,000. But if we aren't going to know anything till the middle of the year, then I think we have to stick at the 650. Quite frankly, there will be, and I believe we talked about, what was it, our last meeting or 2 meetings ago when we were dealing with the coming fiscal year budget, that we want to be sure to have room for other things. Of course, you know, that we will have additional, if we do, the human. I wanted to say the Human Rights Commission Day, actually the Senior Resource Day. As we learned the hard way this year, we're going to need some additional budget there to support that for sure. Not that we have to carry the full weight either. I'm not suggesting that, but there is certainly that. And we've struggled with other miscellaneous expenses here, just in terms of maintaining publicity supplies and stuff like that. So at this stage, I would have as much as I support the breakfast, and if you know me, I am a big supporter and have been for years, I would be concerned for putting 50% of our known budget, our sure budget, into simply one program.
All right, any other comment?
The question that I have, so then if we identify funds for, say, the Senior Resource Day, can we use this year's funds towards next year's events? When do those funds close? So they would have to be spent by?
The budget amount that we receive annually would have to be expended within the fiscal year.
So
we're only
the last day
able
of June?
We're only able to carry forward private funds that we receive as
Right.
donations,
Right.
unrestricted.
Right.
The fiscal year ends June 30th.
Okay.
How much private donations do we have?
There's a couple $100. I don't have the exact amount on top of my head.
Okay.
What's the deadline for the Harvey Milk Breakfast to commit, Ron?
You can be involved all the way up until the point in time the tables are all sold out. So that could be all the way into May.
What about print deadlines?
The first e-flyer that's going to go out is in a few weeks after the committee meets for the first time. So once that committee has its first meeting, then the first piece will be put together.
Well, it seems then if that's the case, I mean, there's no point in going at the higher level sponsorship if we're not going to get all that it gets us. So it sounds like if we are going to do that, we have to decide that at this meeting, and we have to commit. Otherwise, we'll start missing out on things like our logo in the programs and the mailings and so on. Sounds like there might be, different opinions, but I'd like to vote on it if that's possible.
Yeah. So we have a motion from committee that the commission supports the 650 table sponsor option for the Harvey Milk Breakfast. All in favor?
Aye.
Oppose? Opposition?
I'm confused.
We're voting against 650. We're voting for 1,000, I think as well.
Right.
Okay. So I would be,
A no?
I would be against 650.
Okay. So motion fails for lack of support. Commissioner
I make a
Morgan.
motion to spend $1,000 for the sponsorship table for the Harvey Milk Breakfast.
Any conversation, or is there a second on the motion to be $1,000 sponsor for the Harvey Milk Breakfast?
I'll second that.
Beautiful. Any discussion on that? All in favor of supporting the motion to be $1,000 sponsor for the Harvey Milk Breakfast, please say aye.
Can you
Aye.
add for this year
For
only?
2019?
Thank you.
I mean, it's your motion, but
Want me to repeat my motion? I would like to actually approve $1,000 for the 2019 Harvey Milk Breakfast Table.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposition? One, so one opposed, the motion carries, $1,000 sponsorship. So, whose committee is this?
It's the marketing
Oh, it's out of
subcommittee.
marketing. So, Dave, if you can let Ryan know he can submit that paperwork, or however we're supposed to do it. Does it come?
I've not received it.
He's got it.
Okay, then,
He can submit or
Yeah.
go to you?
nope, he can submit.
Okay. So you got that? Okay. All right, next item?
The film event, so we've chosen a working date of March 22nd. We've reserved that date at what used to be called the Camelot Theater, which is now the Palm Springs Cultural Center. So we have that secured. Of course, there's paperwork that needs to be done to, make sure the city has signed off on everything, but we've been through it once, so I expect it to be smooth sailing this time. Also, we've asked Dale to ask if city council members can be free to come to the event. We'd very much like their presence as well as the commission. And I still have the ability to get the film from the filmmaker, and he'll make an appearance as well. So we're kind of going in the right direction. So as soon as we have all this done, then we need to set a meeting with the center, who we're going to partner with on this particular event. And that'll change as we go forward with years if this becomes a legacy event. And we anticipate we could make up to $6,000 additional. So then the spending of how we would spend that money would be up for discussion. So we're coming up on it, and hopefully it'll be a big success, and we won't have to worry about budgets.
Okay, and when is the meeting with staff and the cultural center? Didn't I see that somewhere? Or it's just been conversation?
Well, when we were going to do the event in October, we did meet already with the center, and they were open to
No,
the...
I mean the cultural center, to do the execution of the document or something? Didn't I see that that's going to happen?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan's on top of it, and paperwork is in hand.
Okay.
The clarification on that, the original date for the October, that agreement was executed. We can very well just make a notation of a change of date and initial off on it. You had the date is March 22nd, is that the
Yes.
date?
Yes.
What was the time of the event? And also you were having some discussion about possibly a VIP pre-event?
Correct.
Has those details been worked out?
No, I anticipate it'll be an evening event, and the VIP party would be prior to the showing of the film. So, I don't know, maybe a 6 o'clock party, a 7 o'clock showing. I mean, that's along the lines of, I just have gone to 13 movies at the film festival, so seems like that's the time.
Yeah. So if I can suggest, why don't the committee go ahead and put the schedule together, go ahead and confirm what that schedule is, and once you have the schedule confirmed, then get that to Dale, so then Dale can then send out a save the date and invite council members to participate, and indicate if you want anybody from council to speak. So if plan that into your schedule, then that needs to be in the request. That will go to Dale, but we don't want to do that until we've got your schedule complete.
Right.
Okay?
I did want to have a full commission discussion on the division of the profits from the film with the cultural center. So, so far, we've kind of discussed the idea of 50-50. On the other hand, we haven't gotten input from everybody on the commission. Can we take a moment to discuss that? What would be appropriate?
I thought we've already decided it's 50% to the LGBT center and 50% to the commission.
think
Did
we
we
have
not?
discussed, but we never really confirmed, if I
Oh.
remember correctly, unless that was the last meeting that I was not, the commission meeting that I was not at. But I felt that maybe we should give a little bit more to the organization, community center, charity of choice, and that way it's a good incentive for them to actually realize that they're going to be having a little bit more funds than just 50-50, just my opinion.
My opinion is, I think 50-50 works beautifully. It did get initiated here, and the basic initial work, which has been Nikki, has been through the commission. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we've been the champions here. So I think 50-50 makes good sense. And,
Well-
and as we've discovered too, and we've just discussed one item, even though it'll come up later in the fiscal year. But we keep hitting the situation of asking the questions, well, so where can we get a little chunk of funds for this little thing or this little thing? So I think it's equitable and also simply something we need for the commission is to get our 50%. And certainly glad to share 50% with the center, no question. But
Well, I will point out, the center will be very key to the success of this. They have a lot of marketing muscle and reach and community, so they're a very important part of this.
I'm sure they would be very appreciative at 50%, which is more than what most of us get on events like this from fundraisers. So I think it's a very handsome share, and I'm certainly an advocate for the center. Any other comment, Commissioner Andrade? Your feelings one way or the other?
I think 50-50 sounds good to me right now with the information I have available to me as far as, this endeavor. So.
Well, I suggest for now, because we're in the planning stages and I don't want any more obstacles in the way of moving forward, I'd like to actually have the event and perhaps get the funds into the coffers. But I think we should be open to changing that. Again, as I mentioned, I am hoping that this will be a legacy event that'll happen every single year, sponsored by the Human Rights Commission, that we will choose some film of some topic and then pick the appropriate community partner. So it'll change every year. It's not going to be the center every single year. It just happens to be the appropriate person for this particular film, which is called Coming Out, A 50-Year History.
So is the committee looking for guidance from commission? And do I hear a motion that we formally submit approval of splitting proceeds 50% to the Palm Springs LGBT Community Center, the Desert?
Can I just add to that? Because we had talked about, in fundraising, it's always a great idea to actually add in what the funds will go towards. So is there a way that whatever organization that we're working with, that we had talked about for like the community center to have, maybe we're raising funds for new bike racks. So if we could do something, and I think it works for both sides, that if we're raising funds, it's a benefit for Human Rights Commission, and that we actually say that for the center, it's going towards outreach program in Easter and Coachella. And then for Human Rights Commission, it's going towards, so I think a lot of people might be interested in knowing what exactly are the funds going towards for the Human Rights Commission.
Yes, we can do that, but, with no money, then planning the budget, I think that so far we've talked about, we go to 4 or 5 parades a year, we have nothing to hand out. No buttons, no balloons, no nothing. So from my standpoint, that will be one of the top items to purchase and to make sure that our kit, our box that we take out, our marketing box, has appropriate brochures in it. At some point, we have to establish our identity and our brand in the community. I think a lot of people are still confused, and we've had this discussion that when they say the Palm Springs Human Rights position, they go, oh, HRC, which is a national organization that's very powerful. So That's what I think from our side, the material should go to, and it can sustain our $1,000 level presence at the Harvey Milk Breakfast. And, you know, as Jim said, we probably need some more funds for what I thought was a very well-thought-out senior expo.
Mm-hmm.
So there are things that we definitely could contribute to that I think are established as needs and/or good programs to continue with.
Might I suggest we've got a motion on the floor to approve a distribution of 50/50, and we can decide on earmarking specifics if the commission wants to do that at a later date, maybe after we know there are funds there. But at least for planning purposes, the committee knows that you can have conversations with the center that they are going to be recipients of 50% of the proceeds that we raise from this event. So does
For
that,
this one, and it can change.
and then-
Maybe our
and
next
then
partner.
the commission can come back and earmark specific at a later date. Does that sound okay?
The motion was made by, who made the motion?
It's coming out of committee.
Okay.
So did somebody second that motion to support 50/50 split? Second, Mr. Gross. All in favor of doing a 50/50 split with the LGBT Center of the Desert and the Human Rights Commission? Aye.
Aye.
Any opposition? Okay, motion carries. And so committee, just to restate that down the road, maybe post-event, if there's specific earmark that you would like to bring back to the commission, maybe it's a human rights activity, maybe it's a very special activity, regional activity that the center might be behind, bring that back after we know the funds are there, and then the commission can get behind it. Yeah. Okay, anything else on outreach and marketing?
I just wanted to bring up for the Pride Parade, it was actually a lot of
that's right.
fun to participate this year. And, you know, I heard a lot of comments that we don't have a very large group. And trying to build on that, like how can we build a presence as part of the marketing outreach? How do we let people know what we're doing? And so one idea that I came up with, and I'd like to bring not just for this one particular parade, but other parades and how we can involve the community. So I thought about what is the Human Rights Commission, and you know, walking down the street and seeing the people cheer and you know the fist pump and the clapping. I thought it was really great, and I think it was relevant and current for what's happening right now in the political environment. And it was kind of overwhelming for me because I saw these people get so emotional and kind of get riled up, and I thought, God, we're just a couple people marching with a banner. So, you know, we're really trying to embrace diversity, and we're trying to reach out to as many community members as possible. So just an idea to have 25 people and have all these people identify themselves and have t-shirts, 25 t-shirts, talking to a corporate sponsor. I would talk to you and get all the juicy details, of course, and what we can and cannot do. But have a corporate sponsor purchase t-shirts and line up 25 people in advance. Say daddy, lesbian, immigrant, trans, female, Catholic, native, submissive, senior, volunteer, straight, blah, 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 whatever those people are. We'd actually have to commit and make sure that those people showed up. And what would be really cool is as we're walking down the street with that banner, somebody that maybe doesn't feel a part of the community or maybe feels left out, they may see somebody that they identify with and really feel a part of the whole process. I think it's a really happy event and people are very excited, but there are some people that may not see themselves. And if we can be a little bit more of an outreach with just 25 t-shirts, corporate sponsor, front side identifier, back side, PSHRC with a corporate logo, and not just think about doing something for the Pride, but also think about inviting people in for the Black History Parade, for the Veterans Parade. I mean, just think of the opportunity. Even though it's the Human Rights Commission, we're really trying to involve more people in the community. So I'm going to start working on that and talking to some corporate sponsors. Dale, I'm going to speak to you, of course, and find out any legality of any issues that I need to be aware of. But just wanted to bring that for you. That's something that I'm going to start working on. And maybe if other people are interested in working on any of the other parades, it might be a good opportunity for us, instead of saying we only have a couple people, we can really involve the community.
Everybody like that idea?
Yeah.
Sweet. So
Good
we're
idea.
charging the outreach committee to move forward with that idea for parades and other outreach events. So that's excellent. Good idea. Does that take care of us for marketing and outreach?
Yep.
Okay. All right, next up, we've got Community Service Awards. So Ryan has also asked us to line up the list of folks who would like to present the awards at the ceremony in February, at our February meeting. And we have a few people assigned already. The slate of honorees was announced. A city press release was issued. Tony Marchese, Reverend Kevin A. Johnson, Kate Concannon Castle, Gloria Cap, the CVRA Community Working Group, and the Hotel Palm Springs are recipients for this year's award. And we have Reverend Kev is already covered for presentation, and Kate and Gloria are, one of them are covered.
I'll do the V Hotel if you like.
V Hotel by Nikki, thank you. And if we don't have any specific people, if you're open to just being assigned, Jim will figure out which one you'll do. And Terry, if you're open to doing a presentation,
Right.
we'll assign somebody for you.
Did you say Kate is taken?
No.
Okay, I'll do that.
Okay.
I don't know her personally, but we're friends on Facebook and we're involved in a lot of similar things, so I'd be happy to meet her that way.
Nice. It's very good. Thank you. So, Jim, now you know you're doing Gloria.
I'm doing Gloria. Yeah, that's great.
Beautiful. All right, so we will assign the other folks to those that are missing, and Denise and I will fill in the blanks where other commissioners haven't picked somebody. Okay, next up we've got, was that all I was supposed to do for Ryan? Yes. Yep. What time does it start? 3 p.m. And we do meet in the council chambers. So everybody who has or will be doing an introduction, you'll get the contact email for the honorees so you can reach out to them and introduce yourself on behalf of the commission and let them know you're going to be introducing them. We'll give you a copy of the bio we have, but just so you can reach out to them and let them know you'll meet them at the council chambers at 3 p.m. on, you know the date? February 11th. And that they can contact you if they've got any questions, okay? So we'll get those notes out to everybody in the next week or so, okay? And that takes care of everything Ryan had asked for there, so beautiful. Finance, next item, Commissioner Randolph.
Yes, we've made no changes. I mean, the budget is the same exact budget as last year. And now we've made the decision to go ahead with the $1,000 expenditure. As Dale said, we really haven't spent other money to date. So we should be all right. As soon as we have the film event, then we'll have actual real money to budget with. And we're talking about the different items. Now I can put in David's T-shirts in case we don't get a corporate sponsor. All right, and he's got it covered.
But so for the budget that we're submitting to council, you're submitting, I thought it was an $5,000 budget?
Oh, for them to come up with
Yes.
additional expenses, not that.
So does
All right.
Dale have that? Do you have that?
No. I'll
Okay.
do that and get
So
it to him.
forward that to Dale so that Dale can have it and it can be submitted to Mr. Reddy or whoever we've got to submit it to. At
Okay.
least it's the request that we're submitting,
Okay.
okay? Do you need anything else from them on that? Okay,
Nikki,
perfect.
could you send the budget we ran to all of us, just so it's fresh? Great.
Of course.
So we're talking about a current operating budget and a proposed budget for the next fiscal year. And that's what we're asking for council to consider this request that we're making.
And that will not include any funds from the fundraiser.
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Okay, next up, we've got student representative. Any updates there? Next item, Senior Expo Dependent Adult Bill of Rights. Mr. Gross, do we have anything? I'm not expecting anything.
No,
You were going to do a review with the Mizell Center?
and I have not done that yet.
Oh, No, I've not done that yet, but I think that will happen before this month is over. I don't think we need to make the decision today, but I'll make this statement at this point. Because last time I was asked, would I be willing to take on coordinating that again this coming year and so forth and so on. I guess I'd prefer for us, maybe at our next agenda in February, to actually have an agenda item and maybe formalize that, particularly based upon my having a follow-up discussion with Mizell themselves. And the other thing I would appreciate, and I don't want to get ahead of myself because I got a couple other things to report on later, and I think it'll all come together when you hear that. But I'm a little leery about getting myself overcommitted both here and with other things I'm doing. So if we decide at our February meeting, number one, to do it, I would like that I'm willing to be a part of that. I've come that far along down the path, but I'm not sure I wanted to lead it by myself. So
Okay.
I'd like to see if somebody'd like to work. I guess it comes down to I'd like to see if somebody would work with me on that, and then maybe we could.
March, not February, March. We don't have a meeting. We're doing the community service.
Oh, that's true. Thank you. Yeah, David, I don't know if his mic was on, but what Dave was pointing out is our February meeting is totally occupied with the awards. But I still think we'll be okay time-wise if we do it at the March meeting. I'm just thinking here a minute. Yeah, because in the back of my mind, and it's not formal, it's just in the back of my mind, is that it looked like the October date was a good date. So even if we make our decisions in the March, April timeframe, we're still good for the fall. Does that make sense for everybody?
Yep.
If we needed to conduct business, we can conduct business at the February meeting, right?
We can, but it would be a full posted agenda. So I don't know how you do your award ceremony and then
Oh, yeah.
oftentimes you kind of linger after the ceremony,
okay.
and to conduct business may be challenging.
Because it is a formal meeting, isn't it?
It's an agendized meeting and
Yeah.
it's posted, but we don't post any
Items.
business
Got it.
items.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Okay, the report is still a work in progress. It would be nice if I could say it will be done for February, but I'm not saying it. So the goal is to get it done as soon as I can. For our summer report of activity for council. Desert Highland Gateway Community Association, any update on the meeting last month?
No update.
Sticking with Commissioner Andrade, anything on housing?
Yes, actually, the task force, the homelessness task force, got changed to January 24th at 4 p.m., same location at the fire training. So if anyone's interested in attending that. And then, Dale, this is probably your item on the count, but I think it's a good idea to talk about it even right now, because it will be spoken about, I'm sure, at the January 24th meeting. Anyone who's interested in the point-in-time homeless count, we need volunteers. It's an amazing experience. If you can do a couple hours, do a couple hours. I think you'd really enjoy the experience. It's an eye-opener. It's not scary. It's not dangerous. Any of the things that people sometimes are reluctant to participate because of. So I'd like to just take that time to encourage people to get involved with that if you're able to. And that's it for right now.
I did it last year, and there were 3 of us, and we had a geographic area. And in our area, although we scoured the area thoroughly, we only met one homeless person. And
That's good.
to this date, if I see her, which I often do, I'll give her $5 for lunch, or she was camping out in a place where it was really dark, so I brought her a flashlight. So I've kind of adopted her, and she seems not afraid of me now. So yes, it's a very rewarding experience.
Thank
I
you,
encourage
yes.
everyone to participate.
Right. And the paperwork part of it's very simple. The interview, the documentation, it's very simple and again, not a daunting process at all. So.
For those who will volunteer, you'll register and then you'll be informed of training. This year, they are going to app type of survey. We will not be using paper survey unless it's by observation. If someone is not willing to participate in the survey, you can do an observational survey, or if they're sleeping, you don't want to disturb them. So we've got 4 trainings that are scheduled, and the county will inform you of those availabilities. But you must specifically request to be a volunteer in Palm Springs. If you don't identify an area, you'll be signed elsewhere.
Dale, do you know the number of homeless that was counted for the city of Palm Springs last year?
Jay, off the top of, was that 127, I think? I can give you a better idea.
Somewhere around in there, yeah.
We were the largest count in Coachella Valley. We were the second largest in the county after, of course, the city of Riverside itself. And this count has been beneficial to us because the governor's funds for additional homeless services has been able to poise us to receive a good amount of the allocation, at least for Riverside County. The Councilmember Coors and Hostage has been working with the supervisor's office in making some requests that will assist us in further outreach and building capacity for housing units. So it's very encouraging. Jay, do you want to add anything?
Just that I believe CVAG is pursuing, Coachella Valley Association of Governments is pursuing a grant for homeless emergency assistance program funds that were made available earlier this year. And we're waiting to find out where we land, but those programmatic funds would be, I believe, for western Coachella Valley was the target area. So we'll see how that works out.
All right. Does that take care of the report?
That does. Thank you.
Main Street, nothing new to report there. 1 PS, Mr. Gross.
Yeah, just a couple of things. First of all, a little piece of news. Elections have occurred. Kathy Kahn is the new president of 1 PS. There's, of course, a whole slate underneath that and a fairly complex committee structure as well. But she's the name. And then the other thing's more of an announcement, but I realized, I think I brought this up last time, and maybe not everybody knows this, but the 1 PS meetings are a wonderfully rich information resource every month. Forget, if you will, for a moment the neighborhoods, park them over on the side. David Reddy has made a serious commitment over the years to that group, and he is almost always there. We either get the mayor himself or a council member, and it's one of the best forums I've found anywhere in the city, forget what the charter or the mission is, simply to get updated on what's really going on and also to ask questions. The richest thing there is you actually get David ready and you can actually ask questions from a lay citizen's perspective to David. So it's a very rich and less formal, less structured type of thing. So that happens on the second Thursday of each month, 8 a.m. in the city yard. For those of you who don't know, the city yard is like over there, if you know where the little Civic Drive is, where the rent-a-car lots are. And if you kind of go around on the left-hand side, you'll see the city yards. And in the back of the city yards, there's a big meeting room over there. So anyway, that's the announcement, and
I don't know where the city yards is, so I might as well ask.
Okay, yeah, I was just describing where it was.
Well, you said, you pointed around that way, I'm like.
Neurovitality Center.
Yeah, well, actually what I was saying is if you go down to.
Vitality Center? Sorry.
Okay, one thing at a
Stroke
time.
recovery.
I'm gonna be honest, I don't know what the Vitality Center is.
Well, okay, one thing at a time. We got, oh God. We now have almost 4 or 5 things layered on top of the basic question. The basic question is, where is it? It's on Civic Drive over here, essentially between Alejo and where it curves around, it comes in here to City Hall, literally. The rent-a-car parking lot's on the south end of that. but it's on Civic Drive. In other words, if you were to, that's why I was pointing, if you were to go out the city parking lot right here, go down the end of the block and turn left, left is that way.
Yeah, but you're gonna go
Yeah.
north on Civic. Is that what you're
That's
saying?
Yes, that
correct.
is exactly
But
right.
you keep pointing that way, and I don't know where, so north on Civic, right?
Well, you see Civic Drive is over there, but whatever.
Isn't this Civic Drive as well that comes up on the side?
I think it probably is an
Yes.
yeah.
So are we talking about the north of
Well,
Southwest Canyon or south of?
well, it's north, all of it's north of Talkwitz.
We can send the address out.
Yeah, we
you go.
just send it out, and in fact, we even have a handy-dandy map. You're not the only one who wonders about that location, because most people don't know where it is. We have a handy-dandy map out of 1PS, and Dale, why don't I just send that to you, and you can send that to all of us, and that'll make it much less mysterious than trying to point or to talk with 4 or 5 other questions.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Anything else with 1PS?
Yeah.
We're good?
On 1PS, yes.
All right, the Palm Springs Police Department LGBT Outreach Committee, just to restate, there is a town hall that the Outreach Committee is putting together for March. And once I know the date and location, I will be happy to share it. But that's definitely taking place. I think this is the third one that this current group has put together with the chief. So we're happy to see that is continuing in the community. And that's it. Mediation Services.
I'm going to wrap that into something I'm going to bring up under new business, if that's okay.
Okay. Committee structure standing ad hoc. I'm not sure we had a specific conversation here, did we? If not, we're moving on.
I think we made our decision, did we not? That we have the 3 standing committees and ad hocs as we need them, correct? Right. So we have had that discussion and we have voted on it, and we are there. I think we're there.
Okay, what are the standing committees?
No, it's a good question. Well, I know finance was one.
Outreach and marketing's one.
Yeah, finance, outreach, and marketing.
That's 2.
Because we have 5 listed.
The student representative, one of the committees?
That's not.
No, I
No,
don't
it'd be
think
a
so.
subcommittee.
No.
Yeah.
Okay, so we will put this on the March agenda that will verify from I know it is in the minutes that we just approved. So we will
Yeah.
verify for the March agenda. So we'll carry this over, item D, we'll carry it forward to March. Any topical newsworthy items?
The film festival was awesome. The weirdest one I saw it was called Walk to Vegas with Vince Van Patten of WSOP or WPT fame, poker fame. And it was not really a great movie, and at the end, the audience cheered loudly for the underdog. So you never know. But there were many wonderful films, and actually the most moving was, it's called Amazing Grace, and it was a 1972 filming of Aretha Franklin singing gospel in her church.
Oh, wow.
It was unbelievable.
Nice. Nice, excellent, thank you. Any other newsworthy items?
Jim, what was the item that we don't formally have new business, but you mentioned something earlier?
Yeah. Okay, yeah, I guess we don't. I guess I thought we had a new business.
Your button.
Oh, 11?
No, your button.
Oh.
We want to make sure
But-
everybody can hear you.
Okay. But it would follow fine for agenda items, maybe not even for the next meeting, but over the next 2 or 3 meetings. And it's this.
Okay, we're there, so you can go ahead.
Right, thank you. Yeah. I've begun some informal discussions on something I brought actually to the commission last year, but we never got to, which is a program in my mind where we could offer improved education and training broadly for city residents on city processes, civic involvement, simply what does it mean to get involved, and what that's all about. And that was triggered from, I think it was last January, it was about this time last year, when the city attorney did an excellent educational presentation on the Brown Act. And it was the most complete I had seen yet. And the good thing there was that it was very well attended, and a lot of people left that meeting with a big understanding. Now I get it. Now I understand why this happens at council, why da-da-da-da-da-da. And a lot of the mystery, and even some of the anger I hear a lot, like, why did they do this? It doesn't make sense, da-da-da-da-da-da. It got answered. Made sense. And now, in particularly with districting having been decided, it would, and hopefully and ideally, I would hope that we have much more citizen involvement in all functions of city. I would like to, it's a concept. I'm not ready to pose it a program yet because there's work to be done, but the concept of exploring here would be perhaps to have the commission involved in some way with that, along with other city forces. So I've had a couple of informal conversations. I've had such a chat with Ron, and in fact, I've been trying to have a chat with Christy on this, and she was kind enough to offer me an umbrella coming in here today. So we had a brief touch point on that. It was a 3-minute conversation, so obviously she is not committing herself, and I'm not ready to commit myself for the commission or any of that. But there was generally a positive sense that, wow, that might be something. So I'm going to continue this discussion mode to see how much solid ground there is underneath this concept. But I'm introducing that here just to plant the seed. And that's also kind of the mystery, if you will, between my comment earlier when we were talking about Senior Resource Day. If there is some support, if this goes further than just being a concept that's under discussion, which is what it is right now, then this would be something I would really be wanting to put a lot of my time and attention to, particularly if it involves the commission. And it's too early to call that yet. Obviously, we haven't brought that here for formally discussing that. But that's the idea or the concept, just so you have a sense of what's cooking there.
Excellent. Do you need anything from the commission as you?
I do not need anything now. But once, a couple more conversations, informal conversations, and I do think there will be support. I think I've got enough encouragement there will be that. So it wouldn't surprise me that in the March or April timeframe, maybe we could move that into a more formal discussion. The thing I certainly will mention to Christy, per the conversation just had with her, and I did mention to her very briefly, but we'll chat more. She did open herself for a meeting on this, would be that this will take some budgetary resource as well as just simply agreement on it as a policy item. And that's one of the things I kind of want to stress with this. My observation is so often, with the very best of intents, major action is taken either by council or somewhere within the civic environment, and it's generally regarded as a positive and a good thing. And then the full implementation, the full education is not always part of the program. And so this time around, it is kind of the message I want to get out there, is let's make this redistricting thing not just an exercise in legal compliance or improving policy, but actually on the ground in the real world involving more citizens directly in the process. And I think the advantage we got obviously with the district elections is that might be a motivating factor for those folks who maybe right now are very blasé and simply either have a very negative or slightly negative or just bored and not interested type of view, kind of to try and wake people up and say, hey, there are reasons for a lot of what's going on, and there's also room for everybody to be an active participant in the city to the extent you would want to be. Maybe get some of the cynicism out of a lot of the feedback that sometimes comes back.
Excellent. Well, I can just encourage you to continue to put meat on the bones, and let's really define what that idea is so it can be brought forward to the full commission. Mm-hmm.
Can we jump back to mediation? We skipped over that, and I had a question. A person who owns property here called me recently and said, I don't know what to do. I'm being accused of discriminating against potential renters. I didn't do it. what can I do? Now I'm going to get in trouble with the Riverside County, I didn't do it. So is that a mediation that we would take on? I'm not really clear what mediation services we as a commission.
Has an action happened yet?
I think the county is probably involved at this point.
So then I think it goes to a housing issue. Dale?
Why don't we discuss this after the meeting, and I can give you more guidance and direction?
Okay, but is that, so I'm actually just using that as an example of, is that is something that a person who owns property here in Palm Springs could bring to the commission if there was no action taken yet? Could that be mediated by our commission?
Maybe not the best example, but
Okay.
If it was a non-housing thing, maybe say property line. What's a good example?
It would be like if there's, a squabbling between neighbors.
Yeah.
If it escalates to a certain level, one of the parties can make a complaint to the city. It would be that both parties would have to be willing participants to mediate, and oftentimes that's not the circumstance. Also, depending upon the legality, it may not be something that the city would put itself into. If it's a landlord-tenant dispute, the Fair Housing Council of Riverside County assists in the mediation of that. There are also, depending upon if it's a small claims court issue, the Riverside County Community Action Partnership, they provide mediation service too. So it could be a referral to another agency for that specific concern. So.
And I just add too, because I kind of teased this point earlier when we were on the agenda item of mediation service, but part of this concept I just discussed, I could see wrapping within that the ability to educate, advise. That's the other thing. People just don't know it exists, or the potential for it exists. So that could be a part of that broader umbrella, and even ideally, which I think would be lovely, would be even to have a small cadre of trained mediators who actually could be more active in the community. And the good news is, for you who know Suzanne Severin, she is an excellent mediator and formally trained. She's got the formal stuff and all of that. So I know Suzanne well enough. I don't think she would kill me for saying this, but at some point as we evolve this concept and all of that, I have to believe that she would be glad to be not a formal participant, at least an informal or advisory participant in helping move that forward based on her experience in starting that in this commission in the first place, because she really started that service here within the commission back before her staff days.
Any other agenda items that we need to add for the March meeting? So we're into item 9, announcements. I do have one other than the homeless point in time. Do you want to add to that? So we've already covered that. So
Could I ask a question, though, really quickly about that, that just came to my mind? Typically, when you've done the count before, you can do the online training. You can, is that the case this time, or you have to do it physically now because it's electronic?
No, you're correct. Once you register, you'll get those instructions, but having participated prior, it's an online, like a PowerPoint presentation specifically for the application, so it gives you a step-by-step process.
Okay, all right, thank you.
The Transgender Community Coalition had sent a note to Dale's office inviting the commission to serve on their Stonewall annual gala planning committee. It's not necessarily something that we would do as a commission, but we want to open it up if there's any commissioner who's interested as an individual to serve on the planning committee for the Stonewall Gala. Dale will be happy to forward you the information so you can serve as an independent citizen of Palm Springs on that committee. And the responsibilities are charged with raising funds through selling groups of tickets. So that's what they're asking participants to do. So if there's any interest, please follow up with Dale, okay? Any other announcements that we have?
Yes, I actually have one, and I don't have to go in a lot of detail because Jay's already circulated the information here, I think, in the middle of last week. But this is on there is a large gathering in Los Angeles time. Most time these happen in Northern California, but the Interfaith Council of City of Los Angeles is sponsoring a large conference on the culture of criminal. Easy for me to say. Culture of criminalization. Criminalization. Thank you, Coach. I needed that help there. On 126, it's an all-day event. But it will, the program, please look at why it's sent around. I won't go into detail here. You can see it all. And it's more rich than it sounds on the surface. So I encourage anybody that may have interest to please go. There is a registration fee, but it's like $200 or $250 for the full day. And the caliber of speakers who are national names, you would generally be $1,000 plus type of seminar type of thing. So it's not only a goodwill gesture towards the cause, but the opportunity to really learn from some of the bigger names in the restorative justice community. And if you're not familiar with restorative justice, you should be. And this would be the place to go to really get a nice in-depth sense of it. So if anybody decides they're going to do it, I have to adjust a couple things on my schedule, but I'm going to try and make it. Please let me know, because maybe we can drive in together, do something on that. But you have the information in the email that Jay circulated.
Okay, any other announcements? Having none, at 4:05, we'll adjourn. The commission will adjourn to adjourn regular meeting Monday, February 11, 2019 at 3 p.m. in the City Council chamber at City Hall. Thank you all very much.
Yay.